Hey friends, Tony here from TL Yarn Crafts, and my philosophy is you can never have too many baskets. And that's why I designed the Jessie Stash Basket, a sturdy, crocheted storage solution. Join me to make the Jessie Stash Basket from start to finish in this tutorial video. Be sure to pull up the free pattern for the Jessie Stash Basket and follow along through this tutorial. The pattern is on my blog, tlycblog.com, and there's a direct link down below in the description. Before we jump into the tutorial, let me tell you a bit about our video sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for the curious and the creative. Millions of members visit this video workshop platform to learn everything from illustration and design to video and photography, and even how to get organized and be more productive. Skillshare has classes to fit your schedule and your skill level, no matter where you are on your creative journey. When you sign up for Skillshare, you get access to thousands of classes that you can take anytime and anywhere for less than $10 a month when you upgrade to the premium membership. If you're ready to explore new skills, deepen your existing passions, and get lost in your own creativity, start your membership today. The first 1,000 subscribers to click the Skillshare link down in the description will get a free trial of the Skillshare Premium membership. Now, let's get into that Jessie Stash Basket. We'll need just a few supplies to make our Jessie Stash Basket. I'm using Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick, a Category 6 super bulky wool blend yarn. I've got 4 balls in the color Butterscotch. To make the Jessie Stash Basket, we'll be holding 2 strands of yarn together throughout. To make this easier for me, I like to turn these yarn balls into cakes. To see how I cake my yarn, click the video that just popped up in the top right-hand corner. In addition to the yarn, I'll also need a 9mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, and locking stitch markers in different colors. More on that later.
We'll start with a slip knot and chain 16. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Starting with the second chain from the hook, we're going to single crochet 14. So this is the first chain, here's the second, and we'll single crochet here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 13, and 1 more makes 14. Then we'll place 5 single crochets in this last chain. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, here's 4, and that makes 5. At this point, I'm going to drop my hook, and I want to mark the second and fourth single crochets of the 5 that I just made. And now, working on the opposite side of my chain, I'm going to single crochet 13. Starting right here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, and 13. And I'll place 4 single crochet in this last chain here. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, I'm going to drop my hook out and mark the 2nd and 4th single crochet that just went into that stitch. To begin round 2, I'll single crochet in the first single crochet of my round right here. And to make sure I don't forget where it is, I'm going to place a marker in this stitch as my first stitch of the round. Now I'll single crochet to my next marker and place 3 single crochets in that stitch. So now I've made it to my marked stitch. I'm going to drop my marker and place 3 single crochet into that stitch. So here's 1, here's 2, and 3. I'm going to mark the 2nd stitch that went into that stitch. So of the 3, I mark the 2nd. And I'll do that for each marker around. So single crochet to the next marker, drop the marker, single crochet 3 into that stitch. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then mark the 2nd of those 3 stitches. Do the same for the last 2 markers of the round. So I'll single crochet down to this marker, 3 single crochet into that stitch, mark the 2nd stitch, single crochet to the next marker, 3 single crochet in that stitch, and then move this marker to the 2nd of those 3 stitches. So now we're back at our stitch that marks the beginning of our round, and we've increased in each of our marked stitches. We're going to repeat this process 2 more times. So for the next 2 rounds, we're going to work to our first marker, increase and move the marker to the 2nd stitch, work to the following marker, increase and move the marker to the 2nd stitch, work to the following marker, again increase, move the marker to the 2nd stitch, and work to our final marker, increase and move the marker to our 2nd stitch. Complete that and join me back here for round 5. My 4 rounds are complete. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Here on the 5th round, we're going to do pretty much exactly what we've been doing before as far as increasing in our markers, but instead of working in single crochet stitches, we're going to go to half double crochet stitches. Dropping my marker here, I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop in that first stitch, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 of those loops for a half double crochet, and make sure you replace your marker there in your first stitch. Now half double crochet to your first marker. Here in this first marker, I'm going to drop the marker, place 3 half double crochet in that next stitch. There's 1, 2, and 3. Placing my marker back in the second stitch of those 3. Repeat that all the way around, putting 3 half double crochet in each of our marked stitches and moving our markers to the second of those 3 half double crochet, and then finish up in a stitch before your first marked stitch. Before we hop into round 1 of our sides, we're going to move our markers. First thing we need to do is drop all of the markers that indicated our corner stitches. And then we need to take the marker that was indicating our first stitch, and I want to mark the last stitch of my round. To begin our sides, we want to identify the loops that we're working in. Before, for a complete stitch, we were working in the front and back loop of our stitch, so the front loop and the back loop. To turn for our sides, we actually need to find the third loop here on the back of our work. So if we look at our first stitch here, we've got our front loop, our back loop, and right behind the back loop is a third loop. That's the loop that we're looking for, and we're going to work into the back loop and the third loop together. Here we go. We're going to single crochet around, making sure we pick up that back loop and third loop together. So insert our hook, there's the back loop, both loops of it, and the third loop, both loops of it. Just like that. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. Again, back loop and third loop. Use your finger if you need to. Grab both of those, yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, back loop and third loop. It'll get easier as you practice. Yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now that we've worked all the way around our base, you can see that we've got this beautiful ridge here at the base of our basket and our single crochet stitches, which are beginning to make up the sides of our basket. At this point, it'd be a great idea to stop and weave in this end because it's only going to get harder to reach it as we continue building our basket, and then we can move on to round 2. Here in round 2 of our pattern, we'll begin our actual pattern stitches. So make sure you can clearly identify your single crochet stitches as we continue. So what we want to do first is what's called a waistcoat stitch. So if we look at our single crochet, which is right here, we have the front loop and the back loop, but we also have a left bar and a right bar here. So what I want to do is work in between those bars. I'm going to insert my hook and I'm going to push my hook slightly to the left as I go through. Left bar, right bar, inserting in between those for the waistcoat stitch. Here's how we do it. Insert my hook right between those 2 bars, push it to the back, yarn over, pull up the loop. I want to pull it up nice and high so it's even with the loop that's already on my hook, and complete my single crochet. And in the next stitch, I'm going to work just in the back loop, inserting my hook into the back loop only, yarn over, pull up a loop, and complete the single crochet. And we'll repeat those 2 stitches around. Let's get you a little closer. So waistcoat stitch in the next stitch, insert between those 2 bars and push to the back, yarn over, pull up the, oop, doesn't want to come through. Pull up the loop, yarn over, and pull through both to complete the single crochet. For the next stitch, we're working just in the back loop only. Waistcoat, back loop, waistcoat, back loop, waistcoat, back loop. We'll repeat this all the way around, and when we get back to our marked stitch, which is our last stitch of the round, you should be putting a single crochet in the back loop only into that stitch. So that completes our first round, and you can kind of see the pattern already. So our waistcoat stitches will sit on top of each other, and then in between we'll have this sweet little bar that is remaining after we work the single crochet in the back loop only. So essentially from here we're going to repeat that round until we have 11 total rounds. So this was round 1, this is round 2. Let's start round 3 together. So into my next stitch, I'm going to place a waistcoat stitch. Into the following stitch, we'll go into the back loop. After that is a waistcoat stitch and the back loop in the following stitch. Waistcoat and back loop. Waistcoat and back loop. Keep going until you have 11 total rounds. I'm going to go reheat my tea because it is freezing, and I'll see you as soon as we're ready to start the handles. So we are back and ready to work on the last 2 rounds of our basket, which are the handles. What I've got so far are 11 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And I have my marked column here, which would have been the last stitch of my round. So I'm ready to go into round 12. We'll start round 12 by doing our waistcoat stitch and then back loop only 2 times. So here's 1. So 1 waistcoat and a back loop. And here's my second waistcoat. And a back loop. From here we need to waistcoat stitch 1, and we're going to chain 9. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then we'll skip 7 stitches along our round here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we're going to jump right back into our pattern in this stitch. So it's a waistcoat stitch and a back loop. So you've got what will be your handle when we finish our next round. Now from here we'll want to do our waistcoat stitch and back loop, so working in pattern for 13 repeats. So I've already done 1. Here's 2. And 3. and that makes 13. We're going to follow that with a waistcoat stitch in the following stitch. Chain 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Skip 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're going to jump right back into pattern on this stitch. And we'll complete that until we get back around to our marked stitch, which indicates the end of our round. Here for round 13, we'll actually do one more round that'll reinforce the handles here. So we're going to work in pattern until we get to our chain space. Now don't forget there's a waistcoat stitch right here that we need to work into before we get to our chain space. Specifically with this one, I want to enter this waistcoat stitch and push to the right, and that way it'll hold onto this hole and make it a little bit neater. So I'm going to insert and push to the right of this stitch, pull up the loop and complete the waistcoat stitch. Now here at my chain space, I'm going to single crochet 13 stitches around this space. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, this yarn is driving me nuts this morning. There's 12, and one more makes 13. And before I move on, I just want to kind of massage these loops so they're evenly around the space, because that's going to be our handle. And now I'm going to work in pattern until I get all the way around to the other handle. So that'll start with this first waistcoat stitch. For this one, I'm going to insert my hook and push to the left, again, to make sure that that hole stays open and really neat. Here at this second handle, we're going to single crochet 13 into that chain space. And to finish up our basket, we're just going to work in pattern until we get to the end of our round, and then I'll show you how we'll fasten off and finish. So for this very last stitch, and it doesn't say it in the pattern, but this is just something that I like to do. Instead of doing a full single crochet in the back loop here, I'm actually going to slip stitch in the back loop and then fasten off my yarn and pull that loop up and out. Now when I weave in my end, I'll have a nice kind of clean ending here instead of a full-on single crochet and kind of this abrupt ending. Just like that.
Now I can pop out my marker, weave in any remaining ends, and my Jessie stash basket is complete. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial for the Jessie stash basket. Be sure to check my channel for even more free crochet patterns and give this video a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.